NFL fans, welcome back to another episode of the J All Day NFL Show. I got a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to go through all 16 Week 1 games. I'm going to give you my picks and predictions for each one of those games, guys. The summer's here. Training camp will be here before you know it, and so will the NFL season. Also, I have a great free fan giveaway for you guys today. I'm not going to tell you when, but at some point during this video, I'm going to show you guys an autographed photo giveaway from one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. All you have to do to be in the running to claim this prize is write the name of the player that I tell you guys and show you the autograph photo of in the comments down below, and my daughter will pick one of you guys at random and we will mail you out that free autograph photo. Guys, we killed it last season, man. The last 9 weeks of the year, 110 wins, only 39 losses. That's why you got to subscribe to the J All Day NFL Show. Let's get into the video. All right, all my NFL fans, we're going to kick off this video with none other than my Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles kicking off the 2025 season. First, NFC East rival Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles had a lot of success versus the Cowboys last year, winning both of those games by absolute blowout. But no Dak Prescott in those games, and Dak has actually been really good versus the Birds in his career. 9-4 overall record. He's won 4 out of the last 5. Very impressive stuff. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Dallas Cowboys' first pick. They bring in Tyler Booker to replace Hall of Famer, soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Zach Martin. I think they probably could have traded back and got a similar prospect, but in the second round, third round, they crushed it with Donovan Ezeraku and Savon Revel, the cornerback. I'm very excited for this game. The Eagles get to kick it off on Thursday night football, guys. The Eagles have lost a ton of guys on defense. There's no other way around it. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay all out of town. But they brought in Jahad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Ty Robinson in the draft, and I think they're going to be able to play and really help this team out on defense. I think they have some guys on the roster that will be able to plug and play as well. So who do I think wins this game? I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think, actually, but I'm still going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to get a big W in Week 1. Like I said before, this Dallas Cowboys team didn't really draft super great in my opinion. The second and third round picks I thought were killer picks, but they got a really young offensive line, right? No Zach Martin, and this Eagles front seven led by Jalen Carter is extremely impressive, guys. That's why I like the Eagles to get a big W in Week 1. Now, we move on to the Friday night game in Brazil. We got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Chargers. The Chargers, guys, had an incredible draft, right? They brought in Omarion Hampton, Trey Harris, who could be a true X wide receiver. I absolutely love it. So, the Chiefs drafted Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State, dealt with some injuries in his final year in college. Will he be healthy and ready to play? That remains to be seen. There's a lot of question marks health-wise for the Kansas City Chiefs. Is Isaiah Pacheco going to return to form? Rashee Rice coming off a big injury. Travis Kelce, another year older. This offensive line was not good at all last year, right? So, this division for them is getting a lot more competitive, as you can see by the Chargers, right? Look really good. Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, Trey Harris, Omarion Hampton, Joe Alt. This offense looks really good. They're very well coached. I think this is going to be a very competitive game. I've been going back and forth on this game, but the more I look at it, these games they played really close last year, 17-10 and 19-17, right? So, I think the Chargers got a lot better, and I don't really think the Chiefs did. So I'm going with the Chargers to get an upset victory here in Brazil on Friday, September 5th. I love this spot for the Chargers to kind of solidify themselves as true contenders for that AFC West title. I think the Chargers and the Broncos, one of those teams will unseat the Chiefs as AFC West perennial champions. All right, NFL fans, let's kick off this Sunday slate with a great game between two 4-13 teams. We got the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the New England Patriots in New England. Two new head coaches. We got Pete Carroll for the Raiders, Mike Vrabel for the Patriots. In round one, the Raiders went Ashton Jeanty. Will Campbell goes to the Patriots. So who ultimately wins this game? I like Max Crosby and this defense to kind of give Drake May some fits. This wide receiver room is still not awesome, right? They did bring in Stephon Diggs, who got caught with some pink substance with some chicks on a boat. Not a great look there for Mr. Diggs. But they did bring in Trevion Henderson and Kyle Williams to kind of help revamp this offense a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Patriots will be improved, just not right away. I like the Raiders in this spot to get a big time W. I like what they did in the draft. I think they're going to run the ball. Chip Kelly is the new offensive coordinator there. I like that the Patriots brought in Milton Williams. He's really going to help that front seven kind of get after the quarterback a little bit. I do like those moves that they have done in the offseason. But they were 2-6 at home last year. Not really a big home field advantage. I think Drake May is going to be great. Once they get him some reliable pass catchers, he's going to be just fine. But I'm going with the Raiders on the road to get a victory in week one. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who recently signed Aaron Rodgers to a one-year deal, taking on the Jets. Former Steeler Justin Fields is now the quarterback for the Jets. Aaron Glenn comes over from the Detroit Lions to be the head coach over there in New York. So, where do we go? Who wins this game? Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. They had a great draft. Derek Harmon, Caleb Johnson, really, really good players. But I actually really like what the Jets did as well, right? They went and drafted another offensive lineman, Armand Membu, to play right tackle, opposite of last year's first-round pick, Olu Fashanu, right? So from Penn State. They got bookend tackles for years to come, but I think there's going to be some growing pains with a new head coach, a new offense, whole new system there. Mike Tomlin knows Justin Fields like the back of his hand, so I think that's going to come to play. They know what he does well, what he doesn't do well. That's why I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to do just enough on offense, and that defense is really going to stymie Justin Fields, I think, in week one. That's why I love the Steelers there in week one. Next up, we got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis, right? The Colts beat Miami in week 7, 16-10, but no Tua in that game. Anthony Richardson's dealing with some shoulder injury, so maybe it's going to be Daniel Jones, right? He's going to miss some time. We'll have to see if he's going to be ready for training camp, right? Anthony Richardson. So in the draft, the Colts got Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Great move. They needed someone who could be in play for those intermediate routes, right? I do like what they did later in the draft, too. They brought in Riley Leonard in the 6th round, Jalen Travis in the 4th round, JT Tuimoloau, the edge defender from OSU. I do like that. The Dolphins, that draft, Kenneth Grant, too early for him, in my opinion. I think that was a reach. They had no 3rd or 4th round pick. That secondary lost Javon Holland. Jalen Ramsey's there, but is he going to be by the time the season starts? We don't know. We know he doesn't really want to be there. I think head coach Mike McDaniels is definitely on the chopping block. I think the same thing kind of goes with Shane Steichen, right? Two coaches who need to figure it out and have their teams take a step forward in 2025, or they're going to probably lose their jobs, in my opinion. Tua is one concussion away from having to retire. You know, the Colts also lost Will Fries and center Ryan Kelly. You know, so I think these teams are both going to be pretty mediocre this year. I don't really see either of these teams, the Dolphins or the Colts, competing for a title at all. But I'm going to go with the Colts at home. I think they're going to run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, kind of expose a poor defense in Miami in the middle of the field with newly acquired Tyler Warren from Penn State. And I think Daniel Jones actually fits this offense a little bit better with what Shane Steichen wants to do, in my opinion. So that's why I'm going to go with the Colts in week 1. Next up, Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans Saints. Two teams on opposite trajectories. I think this Arizona Cardinals team is looking pretty damn good. I love what they did in the draft. They freaking crushed it, man. They also brought in Josh Sweat in free agency. They draft Walter Nolan in round 1. They got Will Johnson, probably the best corner in this draft, in round 2. But he's got to stay healthy, right? His college career was mixed with a ton of injuries, right? If he can stay healthy, he could really help this team. But that's a huge if. And this offense is pretty damn good. They drafted one offensive player. All their other draft picks were on defense. They really concentrated on building a better defense for Jonathan Gannon, who was the former defensive coordinator for the Eagles a few years back before he got hired there. But with Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, James Conner, Kyler Murray, that offense should be humming. The Saints bring in Kellen Moore to be their new head coach. And Derek Carr goes and retires, right? So Alvin Kamara is aging. I do like Chris Olave, but he's another guy, the injury bug, coming after him, right? So we'll have to see how that offense really goes. I think the Saints are going to struggle to win games this year. I love Arizona in this spot. I think they dominate. I think they cover the spread. The Saints are going to struggle this year. If they win 5 or 6 games, they'll probably be lucky, in my opinion. Kellen Moore, they got to give him some time. In the draft, I like what they did. They brought in, Kelvin Banks, Tyler Shook in the second round, Vernon Broughton, Jonas Sanker, the safety from Virginia, and Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas. That's a steal there in the 6th round. Great pick. Because Alvin Kamara, he's getting up there in age, right? So I'm going with Arizona Cardinals. I think everyone's going to be on Arizona. I think that's a good survivor pick as well. Speaking of survivor, guys, I just got sponsored by a really cool company to do my own survivor pool. So I'm going to get all the J All Day community. Once the season starts and we get closer to it, I'll give you more details about that. But I'm going to be sponsoring my own survivor pool this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Next up, we got the New York Giants taking on the Washington Commanders. Big NFC East rivalry game. Washington had a great offseason, man. Straight up. They got Josh Connerly Jr. in the draft. They also brought in Trey Amos, the cornerback. I really like that. They brought in Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. They traded for Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle from the Houston Texans. He's got some talent there, man. This team's going to be pretty damn good. But last year, Washington won both the games, but they were freaking close. Both of them. Super close. 21-18 and then 27-22, right? The spread's at 7 right now. So putting the Giants in a teaser, 10, 11, 12, 13 points. That looks pretty good to me. I think the Giants had a really, really good draft. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterbill. Woo! Baby, all those guys are 1st and 2nd round talents. Getting Darius Alexander in the 3rd round. Yo! What a great pick. What a great pick there. And Cam Scatterbill. He's going to be a dog. Gonna be an absolute dog. The Giants lost 11 out of their last 12. Not looking good. How they didn't fire their head coach and GM after that disaster, I'll never know. But I think Russell Wilson will bring this team some stability. Malik Neighbors is pretty good, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to go with the Commanders still here, even though the Giants' front 7 is really, really, really scary. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns. Woo! Baby, that's going to be tough to deal with, man, for that offensive line there in Washington. That's why I still think it's going to be a close game, but the Commanders get it done. Next up, we got the Battle of the Cats. Panthers and the Jaguars. 2 teams that played like shit last year. Let's call a spade a spade. 5-12 for Carolina, 4-13 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is getting paid like he's good, but he's yet to show that he's worth that contract. He's been pretty awful. They lost Evan Ingram. That's going to be a big loss, especially on 3rd down. Trevor Lawrence really, really used him as a safety valve. But Brian Thomas Jr., I loved him at LSU. He had a great season. They traded up to get Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., that should really open this offense up. So if Trevor Lawrence can't be successful with those 2 guys, maybe it's time to think about moving on from Trevor Lawrence. For the Panthers, Bryce Young really came on the second half of the year. They went Tedero McMillan in round 1. I love the rest of their draft too. Nick Scorton, Princely Uman-Mielen, Lathan Ransom, the safety from Ohio State. Really, really freaking good draft, guys. I am very happy with what the Panthers did in the draft, and I think they're going to take a step forward. That offensive line was sneaky good. This is going to be going to be a game that comes down to, guys, turnovers. Who can protect the football better? Is it going to be Bryce Young or is it going to be Trevor Lawrence, right? We'll have to see how that goes. But right now, I think I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. The Panthers' defense is just not very good. And with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., I think they're going to have a really, really good day. So that's why I'm taking the Jaguars in this spot. NFL fans, it's time for your autograph giveaway. It is Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase, I got for you guys an 11x14 Ja'Marr Chase autograph photo authenticated by Players Inc., one of the most reputable authentication companies in the business, guys. 11x14. In order to get in the running for this free giveaway, what you got to do, go to the comments down below. First, you got to hit the like button, obviously. But go into the comments, write Ja'Marr Chase, and my daughter's going to pick one of you guys out at random and give away this Ja'Marr Chase autograph photo to you guys. Thank you so much. It's just a thank you for all the support you guys have given me and this channel. Now, on to the Bengals-Cleveland game. Cleveland was the beneficiary of that Jaguars trade. They got Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Judkins, Harold Fannin Jr., Dylan Gabriel, Dylan Sampson, Shedeur Sanders. Woo, baby, that's quite the haul. Cincinnati Bengals bring in Shamar Stewart and Demetrius Knight to kind of revamp that defense because their offense is already stacked. We got Ja'Marr Chase, baby. We got Joey Burrow. And we got T. Higgins, one of the best, trios in the NFL. I just like the way the Bengals match up against the Browns. The Browns' offense is not going to be very good, especially early on in the season, right? And that's good for the Bengals, right? Because they can't play defense that well. So they're going to do just enough. This Bengals offense is going to kill it. They're going to outscore the Browns and dominate. I'm going with the Bengals to get a huge W in week 1. Now, let's move on to another game that I'm really excited to talk about. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. My initial thoughts were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably going to run away with this game. But the deeper I dove into this Atlanta Falcons roster, I like what I see. I really, really do, guys. They really revamped this whole defense, right? In the draft. Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., Xavier Watts, 3 first-round talents. Let's call it like I see it, man. Really, really good players. Really, really good players. And the offense is stacked. One of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And you're pairing that up with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, who hasn't really done shit yet, and Bijan Robinson. And, of course, how can we forget Michael Penix Jr.? Not a huge sample size, but what we saw from him in limited action last year, he looked pretty damn good. The Buccaneers went Emeka Egbuka in round 1 to kind of revamp that offense. That's already pretty damn good with Chris Godwin and our boy Mike Evans and Bucky Irving from Oregon, right? But the defense, especially the secondary, really struggled last year. Kirk Cousins destroyed them. The first time they met, Drake London went 12 catches, $154 and a tutty, right? Ripped them apart. I think this game's going to be really close. Going to come down to the wire. But I expect the Falcons to still struggle to get to the quarterback early in the year. Jalen Walker and James Pierce are still going to be learning the NFL a little bit. I like the experience of guys like Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to get it done in a very, very close game, like a 27-24 type of game. I'm going with the Buccaneers here, guys. Next up, we got the Broncos at home versus the Titans. Man, the NFL really stuck their middle fingers up to the Titans, right? Number 1 pick. Now go play the Denver Broncos, one of the best defenses in the NFL at home. Go do that, Cam Ward. Good luck. Is a guy like L'Jarius Sneed going to be healthy this year? The Titans are still going to be a dumpster fire. The Denver Broncos, on the other hand, have one of the best defenses in the NFL. A very good offensive line. They brought in Jody Barron in round 1, making this defense even stingier. Pairing him up with Pat Surtain. Jody can play anywhere. He can play corner. He can play slot. He can play safety. Super talented guy. They also brought in R.J. Harvey, the running back from UCF, and Pat Bryant, the wide receiver, bigger guy, 6'2", from Illinois. And Savion Jones and Quay Robinson, 2 edge guys that I really, really like. The Broncos are going to be very, very good. They're going to win this game by absolute blowout. I hope Cam Ward doesn't get discouraged because he doesn't have a lot of talent around him, opposite of, Calvin Ridley's good-ish. But, I like Tony Pollard, but for the most part, this Titans team, not very good at all whatsoever. I'm going with the Broncos by absolute blowout. Another great game, NFC West rivals. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seahawks. Seahawks have a new quarterback in town, Sam Darnold, in. Geno Smith out to the Raiders. The 49ers got rid of a lot of people, man, straight up. They lost a lot of guys. They lost Aaron Banks, Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Javon Hargrave, Talanoa Hufanga, and Deebo Samuel. All gone. Gone, so they could pay Brock Purdy. But they still got Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. We'll see what's up. Is Trent Williams healthy? A lot of question marks on both of these teams. I like what the Seahawks did in the draft, bringing in Gray Zabel, kind of solidify the interior part of that offensive line. Nick Emanwari, the safety, big physical guy. I love that move as well. The more I look at this game, the more I'm like, I originally was kind of leaning towards the Seahawks, but when looking at these rosters, man, they have no depth at wide receiver. DK Metcalf's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone, I'm going with the 49ers to win this game on the road. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions on the road taking on the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, I'm giving you the middle finger behind this hand because the tush-push nonsense, I'm so glad that blew up in your face. You guys are disgraceful. Matt LaFleur, you should be ashamed of yourself. Straight up, I hope you see this because you're an embarrassment. But I think the Packers are going to win because the Lions, new offensive coordinator Ben Johnson's gone. New defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn's gone. They also lost two key pieces to that offensive line. Frank Ragnow just retired, and Kevin Zeitler has moved on to greener pastures. They also brought in DJ Reed. I really like that move. This team dealt with so many injuries on the defensive side of the ball last year. It was crazy. They were in the playoffs, one game, and done. I think there's going to be some growing pains early on in this season. I like what the Packers did in the draft, bringing in Matthew Golden to give Jordan Love a reliable guy who can get open on a regular basis, straight up. I like Edge Cooper on that defense. Is Jair Alexander going to be there or not? That remains to be seen. It's going to be a close game, but I'm leaning towards the Packers playing in Green Bay. Our next game is a very exciting one, guys. The Houston Texans go on the road to take on the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium. The Texans traded left tackle Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders, a move that made no sense to me from a guy who watched the Texans a lot last year. That offensive line was terrible. The penalties were crazy. The holding penalties. It was crazy. The false starts, you name it. CJ Stroud was like 1st and 15, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 15, like every single drive. It was absolutely crazy. The Rams, on the opposite side, have one of the best front sevens in the NFL. I think they're going to have a lot of trouble protecting CJ Stroud in this spot. I really do. I do like, however, what Houston did in the draft, bringing in the guys from Iowa State, wide receivers Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. They brought in Ursery, the offensive lineman, but that's not going to be enough in my opinion. The Rams also added Devontae Adams. I think he's an upgrade over Cooper Kupp, who is now, I think he's with Seattle, right? But I think Cooper Kupp is cooked. But I like the Rams in this spot. I think Matt Stafford and his decision-making paired with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are going to do just enough against a very, very, very good Houston Texans defense. One of the better defenses in the NFL. I think this offense is going to struggle to protect CJ Stroud. That's why I'm leaning towards the Rams in this spot. Now, we move on to the Sunday night game. Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. A rematch from the divisional round where the Bills defeated the Ravens 27-25 in a game where if you looked at the box score, you would have thought the Baltimore Ravens would have won. Both of these teams went super heavy on defense in the draft. Malachi Starks and Mike Green in rounds 1 and 2. And then Maxwell Harrison, TJ Sanders, and Landon Jackson, the first 3 picks for the Buffalo Bills. I think both these teams are going to struggle at the wide receiver position, especially the Buffalo Bills. No Amari Cooper, he's gone. He's still a free agent. Mac Hollins, he is gone. And they brought in Josh Palmer, but I just don't think that's enough. I'm not sure Keon Coleman is that guy to be a true X-wide receiver. I don't see it. Zay Flowers, on the other hand, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman, okay unit. I've been going back and forth on this game, but I like the Bills because they're playing at home. I think it might be a little bit harder for the Ravens to communicate. That's why I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this spot. And closing out week 1 on Monday Night Football, we got a great divisional matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. A revamped Chicago Bears offensive line. They did good in the draft too, bringing in Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, and Luther Burden III, a wide receiver that I thought really was undervalued in this draft for sure. Ben Johnson is the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. J.J. McCarthy will take over the helm at the quarterback spot for the Minnesota Vikings. We saw how efficient this offense was with Sam Darnold. Can J.J. McCarthy fit in with this offense? I think he does. I just don't know if I believe in Caleb Williams just yet. He's got to prove to me that he can win a big game in prime time. So that's why I'm going to rely on the Vikings to run the ball a lot, look very similar to the way J.J. McCarthy in Michigan looked, where they ran the ball a lot and passed in opportune spots. That's why I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings to get a huge W. Remember, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you write the name of the player that I suggested earlier in the video for the autograph giveaway, you will be in play to win that 11x14 autographed photo. I'm not going to tell you who it is at the end in case you went all the way to the end of the video to figure out who it was. You got to watch the video, check out all my picks, and then you'll get to see who the autograph giveaway is. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel.